welcome to the spoilers review for Serpent and Dove.
We were given this book and we're like, okay, it's got witches, it's got witch hunters, it's set in like a French society, and it's got two enemies who are forced to get married and fall in love, and that is her jam. So we're like, alright, sign me up. I know we have like a dozen other books to read, but this is moving to the top of the list.
Yeah, and so then we go to a HarperCollins event, and we're told that this book is filthy. Like, it is filthy. Like, it is, like, sexy and taunt, and, like, I'm just like, oh, cool, I have it pre-ordered. Like, even further up my list.
Yeah, the closest thing to Sarah J. Maas this author has found yet. We're like, all right, let's go. I am so excited. And then we get there, and we're like, filthy? Really? This book? Her language? Maybe? Like, but no, she meant...
It's kind of sweary.
Yeah, but she definitely meant sex.
Okay, we'll get this over at the very beginning. There is one sex scene. It happens about 2/3 into the book.
It's pretty good.
It's fine.
It's a little more than most...
It's a little more than fading to black.
Yeah. Kind of describes some body parts a little bit. But not too much. Just a little bit. And you're like, okay, this is fine. I can deal with this. But filthy. Come on. Maybe a little dusty.
I just have war flashbacks to Frost and Starlight. I
have like secondhand war flashbacks because you have described that scene to me so many times, and I'm just like...
It's like you've read it now.
Yeah. And I've like not touched that book because I've... no. This book takes place in a like French-like city, and there's a king, and he kind of rules the kingdom, and then there is also an archbishop who rules the church and the witch hunters, and he's kind of got a lot of power. One of the main characters is Reed Diggory, who is a chasseur, the witch hunters.
And then there is Louise, who is the daughter of the Queen of the White Witches, and she was basically born to be sacrificed because the Queen of the Witches realizes that there is a spell that she can perform if she sacrifices her only heir. At the same time as wiping out her own line, she can wipe out the royal family line. And then the entire country will go into, like, turmoil, and then the witches can come in and take back their homeland.
Because at some point, 100 years ago, 200 years ago, something like that, the witches lived in this magical land, and then the men came, and they were fine together for a while, and then the men got jealous and kicked the witches out. So the witches have been trying to reclaim their magical homeland ever since. And so they're justifiably pissed. They're also kind of portrayed as monstrous, which is really interesting.
This book goes into some details of like the bullshit that the witches pull, like these spells that they cast. There's this one man who has like poison in his fingertips, and he keeps like stabbing himself, and so his entire body has gone black with this poison, yet he's still alive. They pluck out children's eyes, they mess people's minds up, they just like...
They perform some really fucked up shit on the peasantry. It's not even people they're fighting, they just kind of like do a terrorist ride through town in an attempt to like assassinate the king one time. And like, so you're like watching this and you're like, oh! Like, am I supposed to empathize with them? Because I know one, like the main character is a witch, but like, really you're like, no.
And the closest it kind of gets to explaining it away is that the way the magic system works is you have to trade something for something. And so it's like, oh, you know, you can trade this for this, and maybe some of them have traded away their emotions and their feelings and their empathy.
So and their memories.
And their memories.
They've kind of lost their humanity.
Yeah.
Basically, it's like an equivalent exchange kind of thing. So Louise is trying to break a lock, and she can, like, break her relationship with this guy, or she can break a finger. But, like, it's kind of works like that. Or, like, you know, she wants to alter somebody's memory, so she has to lose a memory of her own.
So it's a really cool magic system, and it's very easy to see how it can get fucked.
But it seems like the better you get, better you are at making, like, obscure connections to things. You know, if you want to, like, kill someone, instead of, like, stopping their heart, which would have a huge cost, you could, like, figure out how to, like, maybe put a tiny blood clot in their veins and then stop their heart that way. Something like that would have, like, a differential in power.
Metaphor versus reality, like, trading a metaphor of your own for someone's, like, physical something. Like,
Levels.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool. I really liked it. So Louise was going to die, be sacrificed, and she decided last minute she didn't want to, and she ran away, and she spent the last how many years of her life hiding from her mother because she knows that her mother's going to come for her eventually. And so she hears of this magical ring that will stop magic from affecting you. Like if someone casts a spell on you, it won't work. So there's a twofold gain here. One, she'll be able to escape from witches, they won't be able to harm her. And the second, if she does get captured and she's wearing this ring and they try to perform this sacrifice, it'll negate the sacrifice and no one will die except for her.
Louise is living in a theater and she does this break-in and she nearly gets caught, but she does get away with the ring. And she's helped by her friend Coco and a guy she's screwing. They manage to get away, but the Chaucers have been alerted that witches are on the move, and so they're kind of on the lookout. Louise had run into Reed a couple of times before, so he's kind of like knows her face, and so when he encounters her in a suspicious spot in a theater, he's like, you are up to something, and he tries to arrest her. And he tries to arrest her, so she resists, and they end up tumbling on stage, but it looks like Reed is trying to rape her. And you're like, ooh. Totally not okay. And then the book is just kind of like, well...
Meet cute!
Yeah, we're not gonna dig too deep into this one.
And so like, the Archbishop kind of swoops in and is like, oh no, it's fine, like this is fine, that's actually his wife, and you know, women are property, and...
Because the townspeople are rightly like,
This is, yeah.
This asshole over here.
And so they're like, oh, wife? Okay, fine.
Yeah, because, you know, wife equals property, so he can do whatever he wants with her.
So they're forced into, like, this marriage, and it kind of works in her favor because now she has the protection of the entire witch hunter order. So she's basically living in this fortress. Her mother is not gonna get to her in there. But at the same time, she's living in this fortress, surrounded by her enemies, married to a guy who she can't tell who she really is to him. And that starts to become, as they get along, more and more, an issue for her, because she wants to be able to be open with him.
And be herself.
Yes.
So there are a couple of supporting characters. One of them is Coco, who's a friend, but she's not a white witch, she's a red witch. The way magic works for red witches is they do it with their blood versus, like, sacrificing something or doing the equivalent exchange thing. So the red witches and the white witches aren't together. They're kind of two different factions.
Kind of don't really like each other, kind of. Like,
it's implied.
Yeah.
So Coco ends up hiding out in the castle too and helping Louise out, providing backup. She's just fun and cute and smart. And then there's Ansel, who's basically Reed's apprentice. And he's just like a cute summer child, and like...
He hasn't really completely been indoctrinated into the witches are the devil's spawn bullshit. So he realizes that Louise is a witch and accepts her for it, and kind of becomes the bridging factor in Reed and Louise's relationship later on.
So as you're going about the story, the Archbishop comes in. He's kind of not... You know he's not what he seems, because like, he just kind of does things that like... you wouldn't expect him to. You can't figure out what's his deal. Meanwhile, Reed was abandoned as a child, and you find out that his mother is actually running the
local brothel.
Yeah. All the while, as they're kind of falling in love with each other, the mother is creeping closer, and she's clearly got some big plans for the town, and it all kind of ends in this giant attack on the Chaucers.
They're told that there's an attack, there are a bunch of women gathering near the castle, and you know, only women can be witches, so suspicious. So the Chaucers go off to like deal with that, and then this caravan of players shows up in front of the castle, like the church, being like, we are going to put on a play, and we are a band of female performers. And it's like, oh no, like, women should not be performers. And I'm just like, really guys, that's what we're going to. On the other side of town, you freaked out because there was a gathering of women. Now there's female performers. This does not seem suspicious. And so they start doing this performance, and they're telling the story of the Archbishop, how he fell in love with this woman who turned out to be the queen of the white witches, and they had a baby, and like, oh, like he broke his vows, and that's a big deal. So everyone's like, is this the truth? Or is this a lie? And then the witches attack, and it's horrific.
Slaughtering everyone, everybody's slaughtering each other, it's not great.
So it comes out to Reed that his wife is a witch, and they're trying to fight off these witches that are getting into the fortress, and it's like awful and horrible, and like then Reed turns on his wife and is just like, you're not my wife. And she's like, ah, and she flees, and he doesn't stop her, and Ansel is like, what are you doing? Like,
she saved you.
She saved you. And like, if they clearly want her, if the play is correct and they want her and they're going to kill her, you think maybe, just maybe, this is a thought, that we should be protecting her. And he's like, she's not my wife, she lied to me. And Ansel's like, buddy, honey, what would you have done if she told you?
Because it wasn't gonna be good.
And so meanwhile, while Louise is fleeing, she gets captured and spirited off to the witches, and Reed is like, I fucked up!
So off Team Reed goes, basically. There's Coco, there's Ansel, and then there's Bo, the son of the king, or one of the sons of the king.
Yeah.
He could have just not been there. Like,
yeah, like I get he's probably here because he's gonna be more important in the second book, but he's kind of introduced at a party briefly. And then Coco's like, yeah, no, this is gonna be my new conquest. And then they just show up together at the end.
And he's like, well, I guess it affects my bloodline, so I should probably be here. But you're like, really? But why are you here?
So they end up meeting up with Reed's mom. They find out that she is also a witch, and because you need a witch, a white witch, to get into the White Witch's fortress. So they all go off on their merry way. Meanwhile, the chasseurs are being led by Jean-Luc, who is Reed's frenemy best friend, and Reed knows that if Jean-Luc finds them, that he's going to kill Louise, because if they kill Louise before the ritual's performed...
No ritual.
No ritual. So everybody's going to storm this castle, and...
Louise is tied up and just kind of sitting there. It all comes to a head when Reed and Co. confront the witches, and, you know, there's a kind of a fight that goes down. The Archbishop kind of pops out of nowhere.
The witches capture him and are like, we're gonna kill him for you because he turns you against us. And Louise is like, what the fuck?
Yeah, he's there, and yeah, it turns out that he is her father. It was part of the mother's plan to destabilize the kingdom by having his baby.
And so Louise's throat gets slit, and Reed is just like, oh! And he like freaks out. He freaks out. And then he sees like a gold thread tying Louise to the Archbishop, and so he's seeing a pattern, and he realizes a life for a life. So he just moseys on up to the Archbishop and just stabs him in the heart, and he dies, and Louise wakes up, and all the chasseurs arrive, and they're like,
he just stabbed the Archbishop.
He just stabbed the Archbishop in the heart.
And that is where the book ends.
Yes.
Yeah, so most of the book was pretty solid. Like, I really enjoyed reading it. I really liked how she did her characters. They were really deep and well written, and it flowed nicely.
I like the world.
I think that was probably the best part for me, was the world and the magic system. Some of it came across as kind of fairy tale-like, where other parts were very grounded, though. I think that was my one complaint.
I really liked Reed's angst. Like, it got frustrating at points where he would do something and it would be totally within character, but at the same time it was also to build that, like, tension, and I'm just like, come on, you idiot, like, can we focus? But, like, I thought it was really cute when they started referring to each other as my husband or my wife. Like,
yeah.
You can't do that to my wife! Like,
yeah.
And then there was this one other moment where, like, I think it was when Louise is up on the platform and she's floating in front, and, like, she's gonna be killed. In his monologue, he's like, that's the love of my life. And I'm like, yeah, buddy, you're 18, but go for it. If we were to, like, rewind the clock, younger me would be like, yeah! Soulmates!
Overall, their relationship progressed pretty well. Is it, like, 100% smooth? No. But, like, it's believable. It's a good ramp up. It doesn't feel like insta-love at all. It's really nice. And as we said, the sex scene, it's there.
Have a few problems with it. We had a discussion before. My main issue was that there was a focus on, like, how it hurt. And I was just like...
She's not a virgin.
She's not a, like, what?
Why?
What? And that's just the whole, like, normalization of pain during sex. Like... It's a gray area, like, that I don't want to get into because it's very complicated. And, like... I don't know, it's kind of fucked up to, like, you know?
I'll leave it at that.
Okay. I'm super good at this, guys. Alright, so, but yeah, overall, I did enjoy this book. I'm excited for the next book. It's, like, called, like, Blood and Honey.
Okay.
So, there's, like, theories online that it's going to actually follow Coco.
That would be nice. I would like that.
So, yeah.
I would appreciate that, actually.
Yeah.
Alright.
Have you read Serpent and Dove? What are your thoughts? Tell us about them in the comments below.
And we will see you guys next time. Bye.
Let's go get cake.